Okay, this question is under the definition of a limit of a function. So we start by stating the definition of a limit of a function. It says that given, okay, let's say L is the limit of a function f of x if given epsilon greater than 0, there exists a delta which depends on epsilon such that f of x minus L is less than epsilon whenever x minus a is less than delta. And this will be just this will look like that. It's just limit as x approaches a of f of x is equal to L. So we mean that if we have limit as f of x approaches L, let's put it here. Okay, so limit as x approaches a of f of x is equal to L if given epsilon greater than 0, there exists a delta which depends on epsilon such that f of x minus L is less than epsilon whenever x minus a is less than delta. Right, we want to use this definition to prove that the limit as x approaches 3 of 3x squared plus 7x plus 1 is equal to 49. So what we do is we just need to regenerate this definition, but the part which we want to prove is the existence of delta which depends on epsilon. So the first part we start with is I'm going to rewrite the definition, but including this function so that we see what we want to do. So we say given epsilon greater than 0, right? There exists, this one is the required to prove part. Required to prove that they exist a delta which depends on epsilon. So this is what we are required to prove. Such that f of x, which is now 3x squared plus 7x plus 1 is equal to minus 49, sorry. F of x minus L, right? Minus 49 is less than epsilon whenever x minus 3 is less than delta. So we are saying this one minus that one is less than delta. So it's kind of the distance between 3x squared plus 7x plus 1 minus 49 is less than epsilon. And the distance between x and 3, which is this one, is less than delta. Then, so for us to start the proof, we have to start with this part. So this part is the part which will allow us to get to the delta which depends on epsilon. But for us to attain that, we need to bound anything, the function which we get here. Okay, so as I was saying, we have 3x squared plus 7x plus 1 minus 49. So we need to factorize this. So we actually see that we get 3x squared plus 7x minus 48. And after factorization, we get 3x plus 16. X minus 3 by 3x plus 16. Then we now need to find a bound for 3x plus 16. Since we know that this one can be bounded by delta, x minus 3 can be bounded by delta, so the bound which we don't know is for 3x plus 16. But so what we do now is we choose delta, which is less than or equal to 1, right? And which is, we now have x minus 3 is less than, modulus of x minus 3 is less than 1, right? Which implies that using the definition of a modulus is minus 1 is less than x minus 3, which is less than 1. What does that mean? It means that if you want to bound 3x plus, we have to make 3x plus 16 in the middle here. Here we have to make 3x plus 16. So you have to do our manipulation. So the first thing we have to do is to subtract, to add 3 on all the, so I'm planning to add 3 here, add 3 here, add 3 here. So this will yield minus 1 plus 3, which is equal to 2, is less than x, which is less than 4. We now have the upper and lower bound for x. How about for 3x? Because we want to bound 3x plus 16 is indicated here. This is what we want to bound, 3x plus 16. So here now we have to multiply by 3, everything. So it's supposed to be 4. So after multiplication by 3, we get 6 is less than 3x, which is less than 12. Then after that, we need to add 16 plus 16 plus 16. So 6 plus 16 gives me, that's 22. Twelve plus 16 gives us 8, that's 28. Then we now have the bound for 3x plus 16. After finding the bound for 3x plus 16, we now go back into this function. We now have x minus 3 by 3x plus 16 is now less than 28 by x minus 3. 28 is coming from here. We just want the upper bound. Right? So 3x plus 16 is actually less than 28. So therefore, this one is just replaced by 28, but the sign will change here. Then after that, we now say if 28 by x minus 3 is less than epsilon, then x minus 3 will be less than epsilon over 28. So as you can see here, from the beginning, our target was to bound this one such that we find the delta, which depends on epsilon. Depending on epsilon means that a delta is a function of epsilon. So here you can actually see that x minus 3 is now bounded by a function of epsilon. So we have 2 points here. We have chosen delta which is less than or equal to 1, and we have found a delta which is equal to epsilon over 28. So which delta do we choose? We now have to choose delta which is equal to the minimum of the two. So of 1 and epsilon over 28. After that choice, we have to conclude that, let's say by choosing here, so that we conclude conclude that the limit is x approaches 3 of 3x squared plus 7x plus 1 is equal to 49. Full stop. So that's the proof for that's the proof for this question, which is use the definition of a limit of a function to prove that 3x squared plus 7x plus 1 is equal to 49. Thank you for watching.